Today we're going to make a series of shapes that are very easy to make on Inventor that you've probably made ones like this before. We're going to make this one to start with, but we're going to do it in a slightly different way. We're going to utilize the ability to do something called driven dimensions. In other words, let's say I don't know exactly how big I want this to be. Instead of maybe I want this side right here to be a half an inch. Maybe I want it to be an inch. And I don't want to, if I have to change that, I don't want to have to go back in and change all my dimensions. So what we're going to do is we're going to create one dimension. We'll call it like this one, we'll do in this drawing, X. And then we're going to define all the other dimensions in terms of X. So like if this is 1 inch, then this distance here would be 3 inches. If this was half an inch, this would be 1.5 inches, and so on and so forth. So we're going to show you how to do that. We'll use this as our guide, and we're going to do a series of these, and you're going to submit them to Schoology when you are done. So let's jump into Inventor. This is what we're ultimately going to make, but we're going to start a new part because we haven't done it yet. And of course, we start a 2D sketch. We'll put it on the XY plane, and we've done this sort of shape before. I'm just going to use the line, and I'm not going to dimension anything yet. I'm just going to go here, just make the general shape. So up here, and over, and down, and over. Just careful of the angles, make sure they're all. I won't even do that. I'll just go here. And back. So I make the general shape, and in this case, I'm going to dimension this piece first. It's the one I've decided I want to have as my base dimension. It doesn't really matter which one you use. Sometimes it might be a little easier to use the smallest dimension, like we're doing here, but you don't have to, as we'll see later. So I dimension this side. Let's just call it, well, we can be simple about it. Let's just call it 1. Call it 1 inch. Click. Now, everything else is going to get dimensioned based on this. And I want to point something out here. If I click on this again, I want you to notice its name is D0. The first dimension is always D0, the base or starting dimension. So that has a little name to it. So keep that in mind. It might be useful. So for example, I want this line here to be 3 of those. So I click on it, and instead of typing in a number, I just type, that's a word, type 3 times, and then I can actually click on this dimension. And if I can't click on it because it's somewhere else, I always can remember that it's DO. So if I click on there, you'll see DO showed up, or D0, I should say. Click that. Boom. Now that made it 3 inches. This one is just equal to this. So I click on that, and now it's going to be the same as DO. I hit enter. Let's see, this side here is going to be 2 DOs, so 2 inches. So I'm going to go 2 times, and I'm just going to type D0. So you can do it that way too. Or you could click on this. You could take it a little bit further. If you wanted, this one here, I click on it, I could just say, well, I want this to be the same as this, so I could click here. So now it's kind of a linked twice. This, the one I'm making, is the same as this one, which is twice this one. So you could do that as well. I think the last one I have here is probably this. Although, I'll bet it's going to tell me it's already been done. Yep. All right, so which one am I missing that's still green? Ah, this one. Yep. And that's going to be equal to the base dimension as well. Boom. And now it's completely constrained, and I finished the sketch. and I extrude it. How far do I extrude it? Well, I want to extrude it 1 inch, but I want to be able to change it. So I can, in the 1 inch thing here, or down here, either one, I can go and I can click on that dimension, D0. Like I say, extrude it as big as that dimension is. And I hit OK. It's done. Now, what makes this helpful is that, let's say somebody comes back and says, "Oh no, we don't want that piece to be we don't want that to be 1 inch. We need it to be a smaller piece." So I can go in here, edit the sketch. All I have to change is this dimension. Let's say I want it to be 0.5. I hit enter. Notice my sketch, everything changes in my sketch, and when I finish the sketch, everything changes in my extrusion. It doesn't change the way it looks. It's just actually now a 1/2 inch on the side instead of 1 inch. If you do it, you really can't tell the difference because there's nothing to compare it to. So what I want you to do is when you're done this, I want you to save this. And I want you to save it as, we'll just call it example 3, part 1. But then give it your, actually, no, just do this. Just do driven dimension part 1, and then your last name. My last name is not that yet, so there we go. And if your last name's fairly common, give me a first initial or something, and a period number wouldn't be bad either. Let's go period 5 or something like that. Save it to your documents, and then submit it up to Schoology along with the others. I'll probably have an assignment for each one, each part, so I can look at them and see if you've done it the way I asked you to do it. All right. So you're going to submit the actual part file, not a PDF, not a screenshot, just the actual part file.